The Jared Dillian Show.
I'm Jared Dillian. This is The Jared Dillian Show. If you want to call to talk about your money, please call 844-305-7800. That's 844-305-7800. This is The Jared Dillian Show. I went to the dentist today, which is, I'm not one of these people that's like afraid of the dentist. I'm not going to say it's a pleasant experience. I have a cavity. I got to go back next week. I'm actually kind of wondering what I'm going to do because my appointment is at like 3 o'clock and they're going to numb up my face and then I got to come in here and do the show and I'm going to be like, "Woo." So I don't know what's going to happen with that. I guess we'll just find out. The big thing going on in the stock market these days is Tesla. It's gone bananas. Tesla is an electric car company. They make electric cars. They make very nice electric cars. They started out by making the Tesla Roadster, which was a super luxury sports car that cost $250,000. This was like 10 years ago. And the stock, went up a lot and then kind of came back down. And then they started making something called the Model S, which was a luxury sedan. It cost about $80,000, $90,000 all in. And I know a lot of people that bought Model S's. And that did pretty well, and the stock went up some more. But, the funny thing about Tesla is that, Elon Musk, the CEO, he kind of plays fast and loose with the accounting. He's very aggressive, and he's just kind of a bad guy. I'm just going to say he's kind of a bad guy. And people have been trying to short this stock for a really long time. And then finally, it exploded. It went from $180 a share to $900 a share. And then it came down to $400 during the initial wave of the crisis. And then it just recently went up to $1,800 a share, which valued the company at $300 billion. Now, Ford is worth $25 billion. Okay. So Tesla is worth it's worth 12 times what Ford is. In fact, Tesla is worth all the automakers in the world put together, which doesn't make any sense because they have teeny tiny market share. They have 2% market share. And a lot of people can't figure this out. And they don't make money. It's not a profitable company. And it's to a lot of people, it doesn't make any sense. The stock actually today, went down pretty hard. It was down 18%. Let's talk about this some more. But I know people with Teslas, and generally they like them. They're fun to drive, and one of the reasons they're fun to drive is they accelerate like crazy because the design is very simple. It's just a battery connected to an axle. There's no moving parts. In fact, it's impossible for the car really to break down. It's never going to have mechanical problems. The only problem you're going to have with the car is that eventually the battery is going to lose power, and you'll have to replace the battery at some point. But there's nothing that can go wrong, and you don't have to pay for gas. But the founder of Tesla is a guy named Elon Musk, and he's originally from South Africa. And he went to Wharton at Penn, which is, at the undergraduate level, probably the most prestigious business school in the world. And then he graduated and he started his own tech company. And he sold it when he was 24 for $80 million. Pretty impressive. And then he started PayPal. And he was at PayPal for a number of years. Then he sold that for $700 million before he was 30 years old. And the interesting thing about Elon Musk is that he's not really a tech guy. He's not a software guy. He's not a computer guy. He's a true engineering guy. He operates in the physical realm. And that's kind of the opposite of what Silicon Valley is doing. I mean, all of tech nowadays is all software and internet. And what Elon Musk does is engineering. And he makes cars, but also spaceships. Elon Musk also runs SpaceX, which is not a public company. It's a private company. And SpaceX is a private company that sends stuff into space for the government. NASA doesn't have a space program anymore. And if they want to launch stuff into space, they have to use Tesla, and they pay Tesla. I mean, not Tesla, SpaceX. And I don't even, SpaceX launched those two astronauts to the space station about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I don't even know what that cost. My guess is they charged the government like $100 million, $200 million, something like that. SpaceX is about a break-even company, but the guy, Elon Musk, he's a genius. He's very eccentric. He's very driven. I know a guy that worked for him, and I didn't really ask any questions, but he said Elon wore me out after a couple of years. That he's very, very driven. He also has not great personal qualities. I personally have no desire to get a Tesla. I still have issues with the fact that there's a range that you can only go 280 miles. You can't take it on long trips. And I've been in some, and I'm not that impressed. I'm not that impressed. And if you look at the Model 3s, which are the lower price cars, I mean, it's basically like a dashboard with an iPad stuck to it. Anyway, it's not for me, but this EV thing is taking over the world. There are some practical problems with electric vehicles. The batteries need lithium, and there's not that much lithium in the world. One of these days, we're going to run out of lithium unless we find some more. All the lithium is in Argentina, and it's actually kind of like it's in brine. It's in ponds. Not really like a pond, but it's in brine. That's the only way I can explain it. And it's all in Argentina, and there's not that much anywhere else in the world. So if we're going to have everybody driving electric cars, we're going to need to find some more lithium, and heaven forbid we run into supply shortages of lithium. There's efforts underway to source more lithium, but we haven't found any yet. But Tesla, the car company, loses money, and it has always lost money. And if you think about the paradox of that Elon Musk, as of Friday, was richer than Warren Buffett, and his company has never made money. I mean, that's like 2020 in a nutshell, you know. Now, if a company is large enough and it has 3 consecutive profitable quarters, it can be added to the S&P 500. Right now, Tesla is not in the S&P 500, and the reason it's not in the S&P 500 is because it's not profitable. So all Tesla needs is one more profitable quarter, and it will be added. A lot of people believe it will be added to the S&P 500. Now, this is a big deal. This is a big deal. Let me explain why. Let me explain why this is a big deal. Right now, there are trillions of dollars that passively track the S&P 500. So if you have an S&P 500 mutual fund, it tracks the S&P 500. The Vanguard S&P 500 mutual fund is worth like $400-500 billion. SPY is worth like $400-500 billion. Trillions track the S&P 500. If a stock is added to the S&P 500, it will become part of the index on the closing price on the day that it's added, which means that index funds have to buy it. In order to track the index, they must buy Tesla at the closing price on the day that it's added. Now, the mechanics of this are now I have a lot of experience with this. I worked on a program trading desk. We did index ads all the time. And you can't, from a practical standpoint, you can't send down a market on close order with like 50 million shares of something. It doesn't work that way. You have to trade it ahead of time. And what that means is that if you have a very large order and you start buying early and you buy and you buy and you buy and you sort of drive up the price, then the average price that you bought of Tesla will be lower than the price that it goes into the index, and you can keep the profits. That's the way it used to work. That's what we did in the old days. Then the SEC changed the rules around what you can do when a stock is added to an index, so people aren't as aggressive as they used to be. My guess is this trade is already happening as we speak, that people are speculating that it will be added to the S&P 500. And by the way, I think earnings are either this week or next week. But I think people are speculating that it'll be added to the S&P 500, and they're buying stock in advance. So, by the way, like I said, a lot of people are freaking out because Tesla is bigger than all the other car companies combined. And if Elon Musk really wanted to do something smart, All they have to do is a secondary offering at these levels, and they will be the best capitalized car company in the world. Elon Musk could raise billions of dollars in equity capital if he did a secondary share offering at these levels. Maybe they are contemplating that, maybe or not. That would be a smart thing to do. There's something called reflexivity. And when stocks go up, good things tend to happen, and then stocks go up some more. Reflexivity is a concept in finance that not too many people understand. You know who came up with the idea of reflexivity? It was George Soros, who is probably the second greatest trader of all time. And he always said that when he saw a bubble, he wanted to get in there and make it bigger. And, for sure, there are people involved in Tesla that are trying to make the bubble bigger. Anyway, Tesla can do a secondary offering and raise a huge amount of capital. Not sure if Elon will do it because he hates selling stock. But as of Friday, Elon Musk was worth more than Warren Buffett, not today. The symbolism of that is impossible to miss. Young versus old, growth versus value, capital gains versus dividends, jackass versus jackass. But like I said, the symbolism here is impossible to miss. Back in 2011, GLD, the gold ETF, temporarily had more assets than SPY, the S&P 500 ETF. And that was the end of gold for about 9 years. Anyway, how do you feel about an index fund buying Tesla at 1,600? That is you buying Tesla at 1,600. I'm Jared Dillian. This is The Jared Dillian Show.
The Jared Dillian Show.